can't tell if that's the design or if this rug is screaming for help. Straight to jail. What is this? Respectfully, yikes, yikes. Absolutely not. Viewer, I called it. Hello and welcome to my first YouTube video. My name is Tatiana and I am the owner and founder of Vine. I've spent years working in the short-term rental market. I was in the property management side as well as setting up short-term rentals and leading the design. I've evaluated properties, studied market data, and I've helped owners improve how their rentals perform. So with all of that said, today we are going to be looking at one of the lower rated Airbnbs in Lake Tahoe. I decided to choose what's close to home. So we are starting with Incline Village. And before I read a single review, I want to see if I can figure out what's hurting this property's performance. And at the end, I'm going to compare my predictions to what guests actually said. So, can I do it? Can she do it? I'm going to the Holy Grail, Airbnb, to find my first victim. Just kidding. I'm going to go with one that has a hot tub because of the fact that hot tubs usually make a property do better. Everyone loves a good hot tub, you know what I mean? Especially in climates like Tahoe, that's usually the driver for bookings. Before I critique a single thing in this listing, I want to know who we're designing for. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see Airbnb owners make is designing based on what they like instead of who's actually booking their property. The first thing I do is I look at market data. In Tahoe, a large portion of visitors come from the Bay Area, Sacramento, and Silicon Valley. They're driving in for weekend getaways, skiing, hiking, anniversaries, or just getting out of the city. But that still isn't enough. That's the market as a whole. From there, I narrowed down even further based on the property itself. Who is this property best suited for? Is it couples? Is it families? Is it friend groups? Is it remote workers? So every design decision should support the guest that you're trying to attract. You want to make sure you're standing out to the people who are coming to the area the most, who is most likely to book your property. Okay, so looking at this property, we have a 3-bedroom bunk bed. So right off the bat, I'm getting, family small group vibes. It has 50% occupancy. So this is over the last rolling year. So it's not great. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it lists that it sleeps 4 guests. And it looks like we're sitting at a 4.26. A 4.26 review score. Yikes, yikes. So let's see if we can figure out why. We've got location, private hot tub on the deck, and a well-stocked kitchen. We love to see it. One thing that I've noticed in Tahoe is inventory has grown a lot over the last couple years. Guests have more choices than ever right now. So properties can't rely only on location or having a private hot tub. Of course, it's still a strong amenity. You do have some competition there. So you really need to stand out more than ever. If you're not differentiated from other properties, it doesn't really give guests a great reason to choose it. That's what we're looking for today. Do they differentiate this property enough to explain to a guest why they should choose this one over, the listing next door? They're going into a lot of the location perks. There are many rentals in the area that are in this same location, so they all kind of have that benefit, but it's not a differentiator unless it was right on the beach, right on the lake. If you are lakefront, you got it going on. So first impression, I'm getting the vibe that there's not too much more to this home other than the hot tub and the location. Again, I'm not looking at the reviews yet, keep me honest, but one thing I do see, this home is in the bottom 10% of eligible listings based on ratings, reviews, and reliability. That is a title that Airbnb gives you that you never want to get. I've seen enough of first impressions. Let's go ahead and dive into the pictures. Okay, so we're starting off with the living room. So they mentioned in their description that there's this spacious living room, dining area. That's where they have it as the hero picture. But I'm seeing a few things. I'm seeing a few things that I just want to talk about. Baby, let me tell you. Let me tell you a pet peeve right off the bat. This right here. It's this right here. Do you see it? Do you see it? Can you clock it? It's having two different focal points when you necessarily don't need to. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain exceptions for this, but in this instance, we could have absolutely moved the TV above the fireplace. I don't know why this generic picture of Tahoe is what was more important than putting the TV there. What are you gonna do? You're gonna to watch the TV? You could do so much more with this space by making the shelves a piece of the design. I'm also seeing this, the baskets. The baskets. We need some organization. This is the thing. When it comes to listing photos, this should all be staged. This should all be staged and organized. You're putting your best foot forward in your listing photos. This is what guests see first. This is what they look at to choose if they want to stay at your property or not. So it's really important that you're putting your best foot forward and the home is set to impress. But then you have to make sure that the home is set that way each and every time. We got to keep accuracy. It just looks chaotic. It looks chaotic. We have a lot of DVD. That's cute and nostalgic, but maybe there's a reason that we don't use DVDs anymore. One of the reasons is that they take up too much dang space in a random pine cone. It honestly just looks like, Becky was taking a walk outside and she found a pine cone that she wants to take home. So she set it there before she leaves and she accidentally left it there and they never moved it. That's what it looks like. Now there's a few things going on with this rug that I need to touch on. First of all, I can't tell if that's the design or if this rug is screaming for help. Do you see this big spot right here? Why does the rug look dirty? Do we see the size of this rug? This is a no-no. This is a big no-no. Look at where the rug ends. At the couch. A rule of thumb is that every piece of furniture in the living room that the space that you're grounding should be touching the rug. This rug is clearly too small for the space. And this coffee table has definitely seen some things. We don't need to be neglecting our coffee tables. Spruce this baby up. Give her a new life. Sand her down and slap some stain on her. She'll look like a brand new woman. This couch looks big. This couch looks big for this space. Now keep in mind that this Airbnb lists that its max occupancy is 4. We're making the room feel smaller. Oh my God. Do you see this dining table? Respectfully, absolutely not. We have our dining table pressed up against the wall in the walkway space, mind you. You can tell me all day that this table is meant for 4. But let me keep going. I've spent a lot of time on this first photo. Okay. Yeah, this just solidified everything for me. Look at the space that you have in between this tiny dining table that doesn't even fit 4 people and the couch and this bulky furniture. Look at how big it is compared to the room. They said spacious, but I'd say that's being pretty generous. There's a lot of harsh angles in this room. Rounding it out with some rounded shapes would feel a lot better just from a design perspective. No, baby, these lamps. I have never walked into a property and thought, who would look really great here? One of these lamps. There are so many better floor lamps on the market that look so much better. Stop getting these lamps. I'm assuming this is one of those transformer tables. But baby, there's no room. There's no room for it. You don't even have a space to pull this thing out. You got a big bulky couch right there. It looks like this is a dining room chandelier. Yeah, they encroached on the dining room space. I'm quite positive now. We really need some accent lighting. We need warm, cozy lighting, really set the ambiance, especially in a climate like Lake Tahoe. Have some rolled up throw blankets in a basket, one of these baskets that are piled up in the corner. You want to add cozy touches so when guests walk in, they feel like they're at home. But then I love that we just have this random wine fridge, as if there's not enough going on. Okay. Go off, I guess. You could do more with it. Make it an amenity. If you're gonna have it there, you might as well make it something valuable. Every square foot has a job in a Airbnb property. And if an area or a room is not creating value for the guest, then it's probably not creating value for the owner either. This living room isn't offensive. It's also not memorable. Okay, now we're getting out to the deck. This is the main amenity that this property has. They are really banking on this hot tub. So let's see how they present it. You know what I'm seeing? Pine needles all over the deck and a very worn deck. This deck needs some TLC. It shows that you care about your property. So then in turn, it shows that you care about every guest stay and their experience. Just sand that baby down, slap some stain on it, and because we're in a winter climate, seal her. You know, we have this big cover that's blocking the view of the hot tub, not showing the jets, you're not showing the steam rising. This grill looks like a bare minimum kind of grill. If this deck is your main amenity, let's get some string lights out there. Really set the vibe, really make it a highlight feature. You got a hot tub, that's a great feature to have, absolutely, but you really want to build on that experience. We have a seating area out here and it's worn. Winters in Tahoe can be pretty brutal. So you want to get durable furniture. You want to cover it properly when it comes to snow. I mean, wear and tear is the name of the game when it comes to short-term rentals, but you also want to make sure that you're trying your absolute darndest to make sure that you're getting furniture that's going to hold up for as long as possible. It doesn't feel the most inviting. I'm not enthralled by it. This is a duplex with a shared entryway. Okay. All right. So we're getting some more views, more picture. Wow. They have a lot of pictures of this. Okay. Now we have the kitchen. So this is the kitchen that people said was fully stocked, which is great. Having a well-stocked kitchen is key. It's better to be over prepared than under prepared. Let me tell you that. It just shows some thoughtfulness and care and that you really thought of everything. And that matters to guests. That really matters. And when they're looking through reviews of a property and they start seeing, you know, repeated things of like, wow, they had everything. They thought of everything. That's something that stands out in their mind. All right. So it looks like they have a pretty cool coffee maker in here. It looks like an espresso machine. We love that. I love coffee bars. They're one of those relatively inexpensive upgrades that gets interacted with every single morning. And it's something that they'll mention in reviews. It's something that they get excited about using. I'm going to give them kudos for that because at least they have a standout feature in their kitchen. But again, what is their obsession with these candle holders? And that's me nitpicking. So this bathroom isn't bad. It's not bad. It's basic, but it's not justifying a higher nightly rate. White towels, I would highly advise staying away from them in short-term rentals. They get stained very easily. If you have stained towels, it doesn't present a good look. What I usually like to do is more of like a light gray, medium gray towel. It's a neutral color. Another thing that I would do is add in makeup towels. Amazon sells them. They literally say makeup embroidered on them. They're black. So this is great for the guests who like to take their makeup off with the bath towels. Instead, you roll them up all nice and cute. You put them by the sink. You add, some little lotions in front of it. You make it all cute. Especially in the Tahoe climate, steam shower would be a differentiator that you could add on top of having that hot tub. It adds a wellness factor. It ties in that experience. Add some dried eucalyptus over there. Have a massage shower head. Make the bathrooms feel more like a retreat. Shower steamers, face masks even. And it adds value to their stay to help you justify that higher nightly rate. Okay, perfect. We are getting to the bedrooms. How do I say this as nicely as possible? This home has like no personality. It feels like every space is like an afterthought. All white bedding and just you have no throw pillows, nothing to make it look more cozy. I mean, I guess you have the throw blanket. It's very hotel grade. And in Airbnbs, I feel like you do need to have a little bit more personality. Again, we have some like pretty bulky furniture in a small room. It doesn't look like we have side tables. No TV. That's an amenity that they could add. We need charging stations. You need charging stations. You need side tables. People have multiple devices when they're coming to stay at an Airbnb. They travel with multiple devices. You want to have somewhere for them to set their stuff down. It just makes it so much more convenient. It's these little touches that go a long way. The big feeders of this market being San Francisco, Bay Area, Silicon Valley. They're very tech driven. They're also design driven. This is why it's important to know your guest market, the data on them, what they typically look for, what kind of things they value, and base your design off of that. Again, I'm going to go back to it again. You probably think I'm a broken record. Thoughtfulness and care in the stay, and that you really thought of everything. It adds to the experience. All right, so the next bedroom, oh my God, straight to jail. Straight to jail. What is this? What are you doing? Oh my God, the bed skirt. Why are we still using a box spring bed? Memory foam is so much better. When it comes to what you're going to invest in when you set up an Airbnb, beds are one of the top priorities. If you get 1 to 2 reviews that the bed wasn't comfortable, consider your listing killed. You know, we have a lot of wood in this room. We have a lot of wood in this room and the last room. There's a lot of wood in this house. We need to soften up the space. We need to make it feel cozy. It just feels like they found random furniture, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Don't treat it like an afterthought. But we need like an upholstered headboard. We need some comfort added back into these rooms. Okay, and now we're getting to the bunk room. When I see a bunk room, I immediately think kids. Kids rooms are fun to design in Airbnbs. So the other 2 rooms where the people who actually fronted the bill are most likely to sleep do not get a TV. They don't get the luxury of a TV in the room, but the kids do. It just makes no sense. And then also, what doesn't make sense, why is the TV hung so low? Ma'am, excuse me? What's the person on the top bunk gonna do? Something so easy that you can do. You can get game consoles for relatively cheap, and they add value to the room, and it adds to the experience of the parents as well. Here's one thing that I do want to note. Again, this property is listed for 4 people. Why do we have 5 beds for 4 guests? Why do we have 5 beds for 4 guests? You know, this is something that I need everyone to repeat with me. Quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. We don't need to be shoving the most beds in the property and think that it's going to do much for you. Again, going back to what I said before, every square foot in a property has a job. It has a job. And if a room isn't creating value for a guest, then it's not creating value for you as the owner. You could do so many other things with one of these bedrooms. So if you have a multifunctional space, you could do something like a workspace area. You want to stay flexible. I understand that. You want to stay flexible, throw in a Murphy bed. And when guests are using the property and they don't have a use for that bed, they have another value to the room. You could do something like a book nook. You could make that a standout feature and still have it as a bedroom. It's a multifunctional room. Moving right along. Okay, so we have a bathroom. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, it's not adding much value. It's not adding to the experience. Okay, just another exterior shot. Okay, great. I've looked through all the photos. I provided my thoughts. Now let's take a look at what guests are actually saying. This is the fun part. Here we go. Stayed with kids. All right, I'm seeing 2 reviews. Stayed with kids already. I think I've pegged the family. Had a great ski weekend with the family. Kids enjoyed the hot tub, games, and the bunk bed. Perfect. All right, we have a 3-star review. The house is very noisy and many things need a lot of maintenance. The kitchen is not very well equipped. Okay, here's the thing. You can design a property perfect. It looks amazing in photos. It looks great. Your listing is going to fail if you are not taking care of the property operationally. If you don't have great communication, handling maintenance issues, the cleanliness of the property, you don't have good cleaners, those things will kill your listing. The design can only go so far. They work in tandem with the operations of the property. You need to make sure those are all on point. You're keeping the property up to the same standard that you're showing in the listing photos that you set up from the very beginning. I'm seeing another stayed with kids. Great location, perfect, winter visitor, minor maintenance issues. Example, the kitchen faucet is hard to turn on and get hot water. No ladder to the bunk bed, not for little kids. I don't think they showed a ladder in the photos, so, that's not like it was like misrepresented or anything. She does say that the kitchen's fully stocked, has an air fryer, Instapot, plenty. Okay, so that's different from the review we just saw. Wait. biggest downside is the oversized furniture, as noted by a previous reviewer. I called it. I called it. I called it. I called it. Huge sofa takes up all the space. Not enough dining seating. Table can only be used on one side. Great for lounging, not ideal for sit down dinners. Did I clock that or did I clock that? Okay, this is someone who stayed at the home, a guest, a paying guest who stayed at the home, who is saying it's cramped, essentially. It's cramped. It's an oversized furniture. The dining, there's not enough dining seating. It's not functional. That's huge. That is huge. You need to have a functional property. So far I'm seeing 5-star, 5-star, 4-star. Oh. Okay, now we're getting to the juicy part. We got a 1-star review. The place was nice, but there was an old smoke alarm hidden in the back of a closet that kept us awake the first night. The second night, another smoke alarm went off all night. We really didn't get much sleep, which made our trip not enjoyable. When we reported the issue to the host, they were not helpful. So we have communication issues. We have maintenance issues. These are huge. These are huge. These reviews add up. We've had multiple reviews already, and we've only scrolled through a few of them so far. Multiple reviews already that have mentioned maintenance issue after maintenance issue. And if you notice, it's multiple maintenance, it's different maintenance issues. So all these little things add up to then steer guests away from booking your listing, and they drag down your score. You should really have preventative maintenance on a scheduled basis, slow seasons, and in Tahoe is spring and fall. Have preventative maintenance. Change out smoke alarm batteries. If you need to change out one, you need to change them all out at the same time, because they're all going to eventually die, pretty soon after each other. Be checking for things like faucets, checking light bulbs. Is anything burnt out? This is really things that you have to do when you have a short-term rental. You need to keep up the upkeep on the home. When I worked in property management, there would be inspections that are done before every single guest arrival, to make sure that the home was all set and good to go. It's really helpful so that you don't have these accidental misses or like maintenance issues that pop up at the very last minute. When you have an inspector that walks through, checks the property before the guest arrives, you can catch little things if you're checking for them. Check every single faucet, flush every single toilet. Is everything working? Check every single light. Make sure that everything is good to go for every guest stay. You don't want guests to be complaining about these small, tiny little things that are preventable. They're preventable if you are upkeeping the home properly. Okay, so this is from 2024, 2-star review. This property is not on a street, but in amongst other houses. This should have been included in the description of the listing, not to be discovered after you've paid for it. Everything in your car has to be hauled down to a path, down 3 stairs, and then up 3 stairs to the front deck, and back again when you leave. The furnishings are too big for the size of the place, and it is crowded with extra furniture that is unusable, takes up a lot of space, and blocks access to windows. There's a tiny table at which 2 people can eat with a leaf for a third person, but this blocks access to the kitchen, and there are only 2 chairs. The construction was cheap, as all floorboards creak, all footsteps, conversations, TV sound can be heard in all rooms in the house. The loud noise from the hot tub on the deck permeates through the whole property. The host responded to messages, but was no help at all. We tried to extend our stay for 2 days. The charge was double what we paid. We left. So again, there you go. There's another mention. This is the first review they got, and in 2 years, they never fixed it. So there you go. I clocked it. What can I say? Honestly, I don't think this is a bad Airbnb. I think that they are just leaving money on the table, though, by not updating it and by not adding more thought and care to it. Nothing here is catastrophic. People are still going to enjoy their stay. People have enjoyed their stay. But it's a bunch of small decisions that slowly chip away at the guest experience that I'm seeing here. These are all fixable. That's exactly why I say design isn't decor, it's performance. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here if you made it to the end. If you have any suggestions for what you want me to talk about next, drop it down below. I'd love to see it. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit subscribe and drop the video a like. Okay, bye, guys.